2016. And we were engaged. We were campaign workers. We were phone banking. We were canvassers. We were poll monitors. And we were out. We were out at the rallies. Honestly, you couldn't miss us in Georgia. Now we have to do it all over again. As of today, about 400,000 ballots of the 1.3 million requested have been returned. And although we saw a surge on Monday, we haven't seen that repeat throughout the week. So we have a lot of work to do and a lot of outreach. And that's why we're here tonight. We need all of your help to get all our Georgia voters out. So we have 2 weeks of early voting left, and then we have January 5th. So in the words of our shero, Stacey Abrams, our time is now, and we have the right candidates and the right time. Let's go get them, Georgia. So now I just want to turn it over to my compatriot, Joy Kirklwani.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for being with us this evening. We're excited to have you all join us. Just a little background about myself. I'm Joy Kirklwani and the co-director of South Asians for Biden in Georgia. I joined South Asians for Biden in the summer, in large part because I felt that we were at a critical inflection point in this country, one that required each one of us to rise up and do our part if we wanted to bring change in our government and leadership, and not just in the White House. However, even after the Biden-Harris victory, we know that our work cannot stop yet. We must do our part in making it possible for Biden and Harris to right this ship, to deliver the much needed change to this country and to restore our democracy. So we must do everything we can to loosen the grip that Mitch McConnell has on our Senate, where all Democratic bills go to die, as they say. And we must give the Democrats a fighting chance. Therefore, we must elect Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. During the presidential elections, Joe Biden ran his campaign with a moral code. He wanted the campaign to project values of kindness, respect, dignity, humility, resilience, inclusion, compassion, and empathy. I believe Ossoff and Warnock are well aligned with the values of our president-elect. If you have ever heard them speak about who they are, their backgrounds, and what they envision for the future of our country and how they intend to get us there, you will hear those same values echoed. So my reason for electing Ossoff and Warnock to the US Senate is the values these two men bring. Unlike our current senators, Ossoff and Warnock are men with a moral compass who want to be true public servants and not just politicians. This matters because I want to know that we matter to our elected officials, so they will remember that improving the lives of their constituents is their number one priority. After the last 4 years of lies, deception, corruption, incompetence, and division, I am desperate for a breath of fresh air. I know I'm not alone tonight when I say I have anxiously been awaiting the end of these long, difficult 4 years with the hope that we will then come out of this and return our country into the hands of competent and compassionate leadership who actually care about all of us, all the people. And the good news is that we're almost there. We have just this last and most important bit to get done, and then we can say our job is done and we can relax a little. So go out there and cast your votes for Jon Ossoff and Warnock. Take a few people with you, and let's get our work done. With that, I'd like to turn it back to Saujani.
Thanks, Joy. Thanks for your passion and all that you've brought to us the last few months. So now we want to turn over to the rest of the evening. Enjoy yourselves, and we're going to kick it off with a little word about our phone banking.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ananya, and I'm here with Aziz. We were both co-state directors for South Asians for Biden in Connecticut this past fall and are now phone bank captains with South Asians for Biden on the Wednesday phone bank. So if you're interested in helping out, we would love for you to join the Wednesday phone bank community. We meet every week at 6 p.m. Eastern. That being said, I'm really thrilled to be here with you today. Phone banking with South Asians for Biden has been absolutely inspiring this past year. We have so many people coming in week after week for hours to dedicate their time and reaching as many people as possible in Georgia every single week. So we see so many people coming back every week, so many people joining us for the first time, and it's really inspiring and meaningful. So getting to be a part of South Asians for Biden and helping out with the Georgia runoffs this past year has been especially meaningful to me after becoming a US citizen in August with my lovely parents. So I'm really excited for the weeks to come and really look forward to hopefully seeing you at a phone bank soon. With that, I'm excited to turn it over to Aziz to talk a little bit about her phone banking experience as well.
Thanks, Ananya. Hi, everyone. This is Aziz here, fellow phone bank captain with Ananya here. As a current student studying public health and policy and seeing the devastation that COVID-19 has caused, I really wanted to be a part of this moment to energize the South Asian community to be the margin of victory in these key races. Working with South Asians for Biden as a state director with Ananya here was my first foray into political organizing, and it has been a joy to be phone bank captains for the Georgia runoff. As Ananya mentioned, our Wednesday phone bank squad has become something of a little family. For me, one of the best parts is hearing example after example of phone bankers giving key resources and information to folks in Georgia to make a plan to vote for Reverend Warnock and Jon Ossoff for the Senate. It is now my absolute honor to introduce Mr. Khizr Khan. Khizr Khan is founder of the Constitution Literacy and National Unity Project. He is a Gold Star parent whose son, U.S. Army Captain Humayun Khan, was killed while serving in Iraq as he stopped an attack on his camp, saving countless lives, and who was posthumously awarded a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. Captain Khan is buried in the Arlington National Cemetery, Section 60, with full military honor. A resident of Charlottesville, Virginia, Mr. Khan is a lawyer specializing in commercial civil litigation, health privacy law, veterans, women and children rights, and is the author of 3 books, including Founding Documents of the United States of America and This is Our Constitution. I'm now going to pass it over to Ananya to introduce Sonal Shah for our next segment.
Hi, I'm really excited to be introducing Ms. Shah. She is the founding executive director of the Beek Center for Social Impact and Innovation at Georgetown. Ms. Shah, an economist and entrepreneur, has spent her career focused on actionable innovation in the public and private sectors. She's worked in the government, business, and nonprofit sectors, and most recently, she was the national policy director for presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg. Ms. Shah has also served as the Deputy Assistant to the President and Founding Director of the White House Office of Social Innovation and Civic Participation during the Obama administration. She does such phenomenal work, and I'm really excited to be introducing her. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Shah now.
Thank you, Ananya, and thank you, Aziz. It's so great, Mr. Khan, to see their energy, because this is a generation that's sort of going to bring us into civic engagement, civic participation in such new ways, and in a way that we all should. Mr. Khan, it's such an honor and a pleasure always to be with you, because when we think of the best of America, in my view, you sort of represent the best of everything, as we all, when we came to America, what you bring and the energy and the passion you bring. But I wanted to start talking about this segment a little bit with you about values. Joy mentioned values. Joy mentioned the values of the president-elect, vice president-elect. Tell us a little bit about why you think values matter so much in this election, especially in this Georgia runoff election.
Sonal, thank you. I am so honored. I sit here in awe of the leaders that have joined today, our future leaders. Just to mention the importance of their work. Earlier, I was Georgia Veterans event, and it was mentioned that the activism of South Asian in Georgia, I hope Georgia leaders are listening, and South Asian and AAPI leaders, their activism is being recognized, and a compliment was paid that that is how communities ideally should be participating in our democracy. And you ask about the values. We just face the most divisive time of our democracy. And I have traveled throughout the country with the campaign under the leadership of you folks and Amit Jani. And I have witnessed how communities, especially the Asian American communities, South Asian communities throughout the country, have become symbol of unity, symbol of decency, symbol of strengthening our democracy and participation in democracy. It is that value of strengthening our democracy, strengthening the institution of democracy, that our community strengthens, and it is absolutely a high time. And Georgia gets a second time. The time has chosen Georgia to show their courage and their strength, their support of our Constitution, our rule of law one more time, so that we can look back. Our children would be proud. The future leaders that are with us would be so proud of their work as they have uplifted not only Georgia, but throughout the country.
And Mr. Khan, you speak so passionately about our civic engagement and our just ability to be a part of this process, of the election process, and our energy that comes to it. You know, why does it matter so much for this election? Because, as you know, the Senate hangs in the balance and the Congress hangs in the balance, you know, with this election and with these two candidates, Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. You know, and the importance of why every person in the Asian and the South Asian communities need to come out. Just give us a little bit of why you think it's so important.
It is absolutely, absolutely important. It is our moral, it is our patriotic duty to fully participate, this time especially, because our democracy is challenged. Our values, our democratic values, our rule of law is challenged. Rule of law, our institution, our Constitution, it's not a building where we go and we say, well, this is our Constitution. Not at all. It's you and I that are our Constitution, that are our values. And each and every person within the reach of my voice and your voice is the Constitution, is our rule of law, is the decency. Asian American community, South Asian community, as I mentioned earlier, throughout the country, I have heard it from so many leaders and so many communities throughout the country have become the center of decency, of unity, of bringing people together. And regardless of our differences, political differences, we all are patriotic Americans, and it is our time to show. I give you just one quick example. I was with the Japanese American community paying tribute to the Second World War veterans. And I know most of us are aware of the history of Japanese American, how badly they were treated during Second World War. They were declared enemy of the people, but look what they did. They were not discouraged. Their men, women, daughters, sons, and fathers were fighting with the US Army in Second World War, and their families were interned in United States. But when that difficult moment was over, they decided to fully participate. I was shown how they used to participate. Each and every house had a jar of coins. Whenever men and women would come from outside, they would empty their pockets and they would put the coins and dollars in that jar, and that jar was dedicated to devote, to give support those who supported their voice. And that is how one family, one home, one election at a time, they have built the voice and they have become one of the strongest community. And this is our term. I understand that we have gone through a very difficult time, very difficult moment. Our values were questioned, our values, our patriotism was challenged. Our families have gone through very difficult moment, but look, this time has given us an opportunity to vindicate our constitution, our rule of law, our values, with full participation. That is what this moment asks us. Not only we all should vote, and especially folks in Georgia, the South Asian community should vote and participate, but they should go and invite the friends. This is what we did in Virginia. We went and we knocked the doors and we invited our friends to come out and vote. In conclusion, Virginia has become an example. The participation of South Asian community in the elections is known throughout the hierarchy of politics. Our governor is Democrat, acknowledges the participation of South Asian leaders and South Asian Americans and Asian Americans. Our Senate, after 20 years, our Senate, I'm talking about Virginia Senate, has turned Democrat. House of Delegate is Democrat. Our Attorney General is Democrat. That is how, on the day of election, I went to cast my vote and I saw the longest lines, people holding their overcoats, their umbrellas, bottle of water in their hand. And I knew that something good is about to happen in Virginia. And that is when we took the charge of the entire Virginia hierarchy, Virginia government, Virginia assembly, Virginia values. It is that Georgia needs to do. All of us need to come out, knock at the doors, ask and invite our friends, and fully engage not only ourselves, but our friends, our families. I know that it is our culture sometimes we are hesitant to participate. Vote early. Go, and now you still have 2 weeks left. Go and vote early. Take your children with you. Take pictures with them. I assure you, you will look back and you will be so proud that we participated and we made the difference. We don't want to send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris with one hand tied behind their back. Their work needs our support. They need the Senate to stand with them, and Georgia can make the difference. What an honor for Georgia and Georgia leaders and Georgia South American community and South Asian community. What an honor it is for them to participate and elect both senators and elect both leaders, so that Senate is with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to complete their work.
Mr. Khan, everything, absolutely, we need every person in Georgia to make sure that they go vote. We need every person that you can bring along with you to vote. Don't do it by yourself, bring somebody with you. And for those of us that are not living in Georgia, we can also participate, as we have seen, in phone banking, in calling our friends and family and relatives, making sure that they go vote. But I just want to say what an incredible honor it is to have you as a champion for all of us, and to constantly be reminding us that the Constitution matters, that our vote matters, and that every way we participate matters, because we are a part of this country and we need to participate, just like the Japanese understood after World War II, that we need to give everyone the power and the ability to do that, and support them as they go do it. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being our leader. Thank you for your patriotism. But thank you for everything you do for all of us. You always show up. You are always traveling around the country, and you're supporting all of us. So thank you.
Sonal, thank you. I am so honored. I must say this, that this political engagement under your leadership and other leaders that have joined us today, this must continue for the sake of our future leaders, continue for the sake of our families and our future in this country. So I am so honored. And every time I join, I see our future leaders, our leaders that are with us today. I am so heartened. I can see, if I may, I don't want to be out of place, but I can see the sunrise on the other side of the mountain. Take my word for it. Continue your good work. You will be so proud when you look back that you were fully engaged and full participant in this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. I'm going to turn it back over to our esteemed team.
Folks, Preet Bharara here, former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York until I was fired by Donald Trump. I'm now a podcaster, an author, and a professor at NYU Law School. And I'm here to bring you a very urgent message that I know other people are bringing you too. So a few weeks ago, we had great cause to celebrate when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were declared the victors in the presidential race. And that's really good news. It's good news for all Americans. It's good news for the cause of justice. It's good news for reform. But the work isn't over. As you know, the Biden team will have its executive branch in place. They have the House of Representatives, but they don't yet have the Senate. And at the moment, with it being 50 to 48, we need to win those two Georgia Senate races. And those races occur on January 5th of 2021. And we must have Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock beat their opponents, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. First, to the extent you haven't been paying attention to the race, the two incumbent senators, Perdue and Loeffler, are really symbols of self-interest, not proponents of public interest. You see it in their financial dealings. You see it in the way that they support the president of the United States, the current president. I mean, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue have not yet even conceded that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have won the race. How do you explain that? They're in the pocket not only of big business, but also of Donald Trump. I had the privilege of having Jon Ossoff on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the fact that David Perdue, a sitting United States senator, doesn't even have the courage to debate Jon Ossoff on stage. Had a bad debate performance, cancel the next debate performance. Is that the kind of conduct and kind of integrity we expect from a sitting U.S. senator? I don't think so. So if you care about health, jobs, and justice, in the words of Ossoff and Warnock, then you have to do everything you can. It's not enough to have the presidency. If you want criminal justice reform, we need to win in Georgia. If you want good nominees, we need to win in Georgia. Just recently, a fellow South Asian American, Neera Tanden, has been nominated to be the head of the Office of Management and Budget, a very important job. And senators are already suggesting that they're going to oppose her nomination. So if we want to see good people like Neera and others get confirmed in the Senate, we need to win Georgia. If you want to see reform of trade, if you want to see reform of immigration laws, we need to win in Georgia. Everything is riding on it, so make a fuss, call your friends, get people to register to vote, raise money. If you live in Georgia, obviously, make sure you vote in Georgia. The race is not over. The prize is not yet finally won, so bring it all together. Make sure you do everything you can, and we can have a better country and a more just country if we just win in Georgia. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that section. So it's my privilege to introduce myself. I am a phone bank captain with South Asians for Biden in Georgia. So this is my first year being politically active, first in Wisconsin and now in Georgia. And I have to say, just showing up and helping others as they get out the vote just showed me how much one person's grassroots involvement could make a difference. It truly has been an inspiring year, and I am so excited to just see so many people show up even after the tumultuous general election season. And with that, I'd love to hand it over to my fellow co-captain for the Saturday phone bank, Teresa, to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Harshita. Being a phone bank captain for South Asians for Biden during this Georgia runoff, during Saturday and Sunday evenings has been a joyful experience. Seeing the diversity of our phone bankers in terms of age, race, and geography is awe-inspiring and is the highlight of my week. It's a movement and we are making change happen. I'm proud to be a part of South Asians for Biden and have the privilege of working with extremely talented volunteer leaders and organizers who inspire us to cause, in the words of the great John Lewis, good trouble. This is why I'm extremely excited to introduce the woman whose vision and experience created South Asians for Biden and took AAPI political involvement to new heights. Her name is Neha Dewan. Neha has long been active in both local and national politics. Prior to serving as National Director of South Asians for Biden, Neha co-founded South Asians for America, a national grassroots organization dedicated to helping elect South Asian candidates and advocating on behalf of the South Asian community at the local and state levels. In 2016, Neha served as the national co-chair for South Asians for Hillary and was appointed by Hillary Clinton to her campaign's National AAPI Leadership Council. She has served on several boards, including as a former board president of the South Asian Bar Association of New York and is currently of counsel at a national law firm. Neha, thank you for all that you've done and for creating a space for South Asians and AAPIs to meaningfully participate in the political arena. We will never be taken for granted again.
And it is my immense pleasure to introduce Neha's co-panelist, Reshma Saujani. So Reshma is the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code, the international nonprofit organization working to close the gender gap in technology and change the image of what a computer programmer looks like and does. She is also the author of the international bestseller, Brave Not Perfect, and the New York Times bestseller, Girls Who Code, Learn to Code, and Change the World. And is also the host of the award-winning podcast, Brave Not Perfect. Reshma began her career as an attorney and activist. In 2010, she surged onto the political scene as the first Indian American woman to run for US Congress and inspired so many other South Asians as a result. Reshma is a graduate of the University of Illinois, Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and Yale Law School. Her work on behalf of young women has earned her broad recognition, including Fortune World's Greatest Leaders, Fortune 40 Under 40, Wall Street Journal Magazine Innovator of the Year, Forbes Most Powerful Women Changing the World, and Fast Company 100 Most Creative People, among others. She is the winner of the Harold W. McGraw Prize in Education, and she is also the wife and proud mom of 2 adorable sons and fur baby. Thank you so much to both our panelists.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're so thrilled to have you here with us this evening. And we are being joined by the lovely and fabulous Reshma Saujani, who is a mom like myself, a wife, and then she, as you know, is also the CEO and founder of Girls Who Code. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about this evening, which is very important to both of us, we're both working moms. So one question I had for you, Reshma, is, what's at stake at this election for working moms like us?
Everything's at stake. I recently wrote a post called "We Need a Marshall Plan for Moms." And this pandemic has wreaked havoc on mothers. 1.6 million moms have left the labor force. 8 out of 10 of them say it's because they're homeschooling. There are so many moms that I know that have reduced their hours, that have moved in with their parents, that are on food stamps, that have diminished their dreams, right? To take care of their family and our community. And the thing is that no one talks about this. When we think about what we're doing to respond to the global health crisis, as we should be. We're talking about essential workers, we're talking about teachers, we're talking about so many of our heroes that have been affected by this crisis. And I think that one of those heroes are mothers. And so this election is so critical because Democrats in this administration understand the importance and the contribution of moms. They understand the importance of paid leave, of affordable daycare, about paying women equal pay for equal work. And I think we have this opportunity to move these policies forward, and we have to, because the lives of working mothers and working women are depending on it.
Absolutely. And, as you've said, the invisible labor force that moms, enter into, and this pandemic has just magnified that. So absolutely. I mean, it's critical.
Yeah.
And one other thing, for women in general, what's at stake at this election?
Yeah, look, again, I think so many of these policies, especially equal pay for equal work, reproductive rights, making sure that diversity and inclusion is something that corporate America thinks about. Right? The work that I do in terms of technology, like every industry has been automated by tech. And, we need to make sure that women are a part of this work, that women are a part of the innovation. Some of the most complex problems we're facing today, COVID, cancer, climate, and we need to make sure that women are sitting around the table helping solve those problems. We have a once in a lifetime opportunity here in this election, in these Senate races that are happening in Georgia. And we got to get out there and we got to vote, because far too many people have been adversely affected by this crisis and they are desperately needing help and support. And we got to give it to them.
No, absolutely. And there's so much of this has actually been outlined by the agenda proposed by the Biden administration, which of course is not going to be able to be advanced if we don't have Democrats in the Senate either. So absolutely, this election is so critical. And Reshma, as always, thank you so much for your time. Truly
Thank you, ma'am, for everything you do. You're such a champion. And I think this community can really make a difference.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nishi Kumar, and I'm a civil rights and criminal defense attorney raised in Cobb County, Georgia. One thing Jon Ossoff and I probably have in common is the experience growing up a progressive kid in a red state. I remember being distraught in 2000 when I learned that I was one of the only Al Gore supporters in my 7th grade class. I remember working the polls in high school in 2004 and my deep disappointment in my friends and neighbors when our precinct was called for George W. Bush. I was so excited to see both Georgia and Cobb County go blue in 2020, and so heartened by the collective energy across the state and country going into the runoff and into 2021. I am proud to say that I am a progressive kid from Georgia, and tonight it is my privilege to introduce another one, senatorial candidate and Democratic Party nominee, Jon Ossoff. Jon is a Georgia native, media executive, investigative journalist, and small business owner. Jon and his wife, Alicia, an OBGYN physician, both grew up in Atlanta. Since 2013, Jon has served as the CEO of Insight TWI, a now 30-year-old media production company that investigates corruption, organized crime, and war crimes for international news organizations. His company's investigations have exposed human traffickers, contract killers, corrupt officials, and war crimes committed by ISIS terrorists. Jon is running for Senate to ensure every Georgian has great health care, to deliver historic investments in clean energy and infrastructure, to rebuild this economy so working families and small businesses thrive, and to root out corruption so government serves the people, not private interests with legions of lobbyists. Please welcome Jon Ossoff.
Nishi, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for the hospitality. Thank you, South Asians for Biden, for organizing this incredible event and for helping to get out the vote in these 2 crucial Senate runoffs. It is a pleasure to join you. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, just a bit of background. My wife, Alicia, and I were both born and raised in Metro Atlanta. Alicia works as an OBGYN doctor at Grady Hospital, mostly in labor and delivery. And I run a 30-year-old media production company called Insight. We produce investigations of organized crime and political corruption, frontline conflict reports, and investigations of war crimes for international news organizations. So in the last few years, for example, we've produced undercover investigations of human trafficking rings, of murder for hire schemes, bribery, judicial corruption, corporate abuses, atrocities committed against women and girls by ISIS terrorists in Iraqi Kurdistan, war crimes committed by peacekeeping troops. And I do all of this work because I'm passionate about exposing, confronting, and attacking corruption, the abuse of power, and violations of human rights. And that is the same passion that is propelling me into the political arena at this moment in our history. And I hope that y'all can feel how extraordinary what's happening in Georgia right now is. And just to consider how far Georgia has come. First of all, Georgia is the most competitive battleground state in the country. When I got in this race, I told everybody Georgia was the most competitive battleground in the country. I'm sure none of you doubted me, but there were some who did. But we have proven that Georgia is the most competitive state in the country. And now 2 US Senate runoffs at once for control of the United States Senate. And the standard bearers in the great state of Georgia, here in the American South, are the young Jewish son of an immigrant, a journalist mentored by John Lewis, and a Black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church, who pastored John Lewis. That is the new South that is rising. This campaign, this moment, this movement represents a rejection of the racist and divisive political strategy that's been deployed in the American South since Nixon, the Republican Party's Southern strategy, to divide people along racial and cultural lines so that we fail to grasp our shared economic and health interests. We should embrace Georgia's extraordinary diversity. And I want to thank the leaders in the South Asian community in Georgia who, for the past 4 years in particular, have weathered this storm of abuse and scapegoating and racism and bigotry that's come straight from the top of the GOP, who have persevered and, instead of being beaten down by that, organized the community to turn out and vote in record numbers and hold political leaders accountable for racism and bigotry. Because what we're building in Georgia, and what I am so thrilled to be building alongside someone like Reverend Warnock, who is such a voice, such a moral leader for our state, is a multiracial, multi-generational coalition committed to securing health, jobs, and justice for all people in our state. If we win these 2 Senate races, we can enact legislation that will help all people in Georgia. We can establish healthcare as a human right in this country. We can make the kinds of investments in infrastructure and jobs and clean energy to create tens of thousands of jobs across our state and solve this climate crisis. We can pass a new Civil Rights Act to secure equal justice for all, regardless of race and regardless of class. But if Mitch McConnell holds the Senate, let's just be very blunt about this, y'all. He will try to do to Joe and Kamala exactly like he tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the increase to the minimum wage that's so long overdue. They will block the investment in clean energy that we need to make Georgia the leading producer of clean energy in the South and America the leading producer of clean energy in the world. They will block the civil rights and voting rights legislation that is so long overdue and so necessary. So the stakes are very high. And I hope that you feel in your hearts right now the same thing that I do, maybe for the first time in 4 years, which is a profound sense of hope and a profound sense of opportunity to make real change for the better and deliver for people. We just got to get out the vote. And look, the extraordinary turnout and enthusiasm of South Asian voters in Georgia is what delivered this state for Joe Biden. So I am humbly asking you, not for the sake of my ambition, not for the glory of a political party, but because of what's at stake for the community, for the state, for the country, and for the world, to put in that work again and help us mobilize record turnout. And you will be able to count on me as an ally and a friend as someone who will defend the South Asian community in Georgia from the kinds of racist attacks that it's endured for these last 4 years. I will call a spade a spade. I will stand with you and alongside you. And together, we will win these Senate races, and we will be able to achieve a lot of good for people who need help right now, for working families, small businesses, middle-class families in Georgia and across the country. So thank you so much. Deeply grateful. Thanks to all of the talent, the brilliant minds, the extraordinary people who have lent their voices and their time to this event. And please help us get out the vote and spread the word about what's at stake. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was really something. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up or somebody comment. I always want to make sure people can hear me before we, great. All right, that's a good start. Thank you, Harney. Wow, wherever you are around the world, around the country, around the state, round of applause for Jon Ossoff and everybody you've seen so far. This is just fantastic. We're so honored to have him join. I'm coming to you from beautiful downtown Burbank. I'm here. You're all over the world, like I said. This is a coexisting video. I guess we could shorten that to COVID. Maybe not such a good idea. All right, I'm Rajiv Satyal. I'm a comic based here in Los Angeles, and a lot has changed this year, as we know. On the upside, we are finally seeing driverless cars. And if we can't flip the Congress, maybe we can get a memberless Congress. Maybe that would be in the books for us. Look, actually, driving is a really great analog for politics, if you think about it. You know, we're all going in the same direction on the road. It's just the people in the left lane, we want to go a little bit faster. People in the right lane, I think they want to go too slow. Then, you know, you exit off of the right lane, presumably because you get old and maybe something happens to you, who knows? But the carpool lane is on the far left, right? You think about that. It's on the far left because we are literally pooling our resources. That's what we do on the left. We're working together. We are helping each other. Some people might call that socialism. It's on the far left, but you know what? That's where a lot of us are. On the right, on the shoulder, you've got people pulled over, right? They're changing their tires, they're peeing. It's anarchy. That's the far right. That's a totally different world that's happening on the far right over there. And as far as the cars themselves, you think about that. Look at the gears, right? If you put the car in D for drive, that's Democrat. You go forward. You want to go backwards, you put it R in reverse, that's Republican. You end up going backwards. So if you want to go forward with us, put the car in D for drive. That's what will happen. I'm personally so excited that we're getting Donald Trump out of there. For the last 4 years, he's been thinking, you know, I'm an icon because Con is clearly Donald the Con. Clearly his favorite word is con because he took over the Conservative Party. He hired Kellyanne Conway. He got endorsed by Kanye West. And he battled with the Khan family. Think about that. Think how many Khans that is. But give it up for Khizr Khan, everybody. Didn't he rock it? Wasn't that an amazing interview? We're so happy to have him as part of our team here. What, of course, we are trying to do is we're trying to empower Kamala Harris even more as the president of the Senate. I mean, South Asians, we have 50% of 50% of the presidency, right? This sounds like one of our discounts, honestly. It's amazing. Of course, Vice President-elect Harris is half Indian and half Black. And I'm glad that the Black and the brown communities are finally mixing some more. You think about without Oprah Winfrey, a lot of America wouldn't know Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra was on Oprah Winfrey. Well, he wasn't on her, but had he been, if they would have gotten married, she could have been Oprah Chopra. We missed an opportunity there. All right, folks, you know what? It is time for our game. I cannot wait to introduce to you some of the folks that we have. Hopefully you're ready to play Hollywood Squares, our edition, the Georgia Runoff edition, with an amazing, amazing group of rock stars. And we are so humbled to have them with us because it's been a fluid lineup, but these are working actors taking time out of their schedule to join us. We have with us, I'm going to introduce them one by one. We have Sheetal Sheth. Now, Sheetal, if she needs an introduction at all, she's an acclaimed actress. She's a producer, an author, an activist, acclaimed for all of those. Just unpack it like it's foil. Anyone get the math reference? Okay. She has starred in over 20 feature films and many, many, many TV shows. She served in President Clinton's AmeriCorps and is currently on the advisory board of Equality Now and an ambassador for the Representation Project. When Does She Sleep? Her first children's book, speaking of sleeping, not that it's boring. I mean, you read it to your kids. That's not what I meant. Okay, back up that part. Always Anjali was published to wide acclaim, became a bestseller, and is set to be a series. Welcome, Sheetal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was a mouthful. I like the whole D is progress moving forward and R is backwards reverse. That's interesting. That's a nice parallel you did there, Rajiv.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. It's always great to see you. We've been on a couple events this week. It's always great to see your smiling face, and I appreciate the kind words. We have Rizwan Manji, my old neighbor. I shouldn't say where you live. Maybe that's up to you if you want to say where you live. So, okay, you can tell me if you want. You could currently see him as Ray Butani on the critically acclaimed CBC pop TV show. Do I even need to say the name? Schitt's Creek. Who hasn't seen the show at this point? What a great show. It has won 9 Primetime Emmy Awards. And Rizwan is perhaps best known for playing Rajiv, that's my name, my namesake, Rajiv Gidwani, the hysterically officious, scheming assistant manager of a call center in the NBC comedy Outsourced. Welcome, Rizwan.
Thank you. I'm so sad that I didn't think of Oprah Chopra. I love it so much. I'm going to just steal that joke and I'm going to just say I did it. So I love it.
Well, we're recording this, so we'll have the origin story of how that came about. Great. But you know what, Rizwan, it is always great to see you. We've done some work in the past and you're always a joy and pleasure to see. Finally, we have Sarayu Blue and Sarayu. You can tell me if I pronounce that right or wrong. Sa, 3 syllables too. I'm saying Sarayu Blue. If you say it really fast. She is best known for starring as Emmett in the NBC comedy I Feel Bad, which I would feel if I mispronounced it. She can currently be seen in the popular Netflix film series. See, these are all stars. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, as well as Sony's recent holiday rom-com, Happiest Season. She is a founding member of The New, a grassroots organization working to mobilize the AAPI vote and to help ensure our voices are heard. Everybody bring the house down for Ms. Blue.
Hi, I'm so sorry if you guys heard my dog going crazy. This is great timing. Good.
That's okay. You can't spell Sarayu without sorry. Well, you can.
Actually, you nailed it. I'm very impressed. It's so exciting to hear people say my name right. I could cry.
I'm so glad. I ran it by my parents to make sure.
Did you?
So my mom is a Hindi professor and learned Sanskrit. So there you go. Okay. How many of you folks out there have watched Hollywood Squares? I'm sure most of us have. This is, our Hollywood version of this on the Game Show Network. We're going to be playing our own version of it. And I'm going to ask each of these amazing folks a question to see how well they know Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. So are you guys ready? Sheetal, this first question is for you, and it is about Jon Ossoff, whom we just saw. Where did Jon and his wife, Alicia Kramer, an OBGYN at Emory, meet? Was it A, Georgetown University, B, in secondary school in Georgia, or C, London?
Does secondary school mean the same thing in Georgia as it does in New York?
I think so. I think primary school is elementary.
It's such an interesting term. I haven't heard that term in a long time. I vaguely remember hearing something about high school and them. So I'm going to go ahead and make an educated guess and say that would be secondary school, right? High school is
You are right. And I believe secondary school is high school. I think you have primary, then secondary, then post-secondary option. Sheetal Sheth, perfect. That was absolutely right. You were right. They met in high school.
Yeah, I won. See,
I got the prize.
Done.
Wait, there's a prize? Somebody tell me what the prize is, because I want to know what the prize is.
2 Senate seats.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah! All right. Now I'm really nervous. What if I get it wrong?
By the way,
The stakes are high.
shouldn't a segment of this be like imagining how Senator Perdue, who's not going to win, would imagine pronouncing any of our names? That would
I am telling you.
That's great. I love that idea. Ramalama ding dong or whatever he said. Oh my gosh. Like that's just how low could he go? When they go low, it's not that we go high. They go lower. You just watch them go lower and lower. It's ridiculous. Rizwan Manji,
Yes.
This next one is for you. And it is also about Jon. We'll just call him Jon. He seems so familiar. Now, after high school, after secondary school.
He's our friend now. He told us.
He's our friend. We're on a first name basis. He graduated from Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service. So he did go to Georgetown. He received a master's in international political economy from the London School of Economics, the LSE.
Okay.
That is something that a lot of people know. I'm sure we all did. But Jon Ossoff played third baseman for which team in the British Baseball Federation? Was it A, the Manchester Marlins, B, the Windsor Warriors, or C, the South London Pirates?
You're asking me a sports question? Do you know what I do for a living? I literally None of what you said sounds like actual real names of teams. I don't know if any of that sounds like a real. Can you repeat the names again? Because I don't even know what you said. I literally don't even know what you said.
You know, Rizwan, you're the kind of person that gets the March Madness brackets, fills it out by color, and wins first.
I probably will.
I'm telling you.
Oh my God. Wait, you have to repeat them. I don't even know what you said.
Okay. Is it A? I think you're just going to go by the letters. That's fine. Is it A, the Manchester Marlins? You can go by my body language. You're
that doesn't even sound like a name of a team.
B, yeah, does that sound? I don't know. B, the Windsor Warriors, or C, the South London Pirates?
South London Pirates? That sounds like possibly the most ridiculous name, so I'm going to say the South London Pirates because I'm going to go with that.
Baka? Okay, you're right. You're exactly right. Nice.
Right.
That's right.
You can bring this home.
I want 2 Senate seats, guys. It's all good. We're all good.
I like the wink you were doing. I recently watched Amitabh Bachchan on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in India, and he does that. He'll be like, someone will ask, and he'll be like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's giving the answers." I feel like Rajiv is doing the same thing.
Thanks for your help, Rajiv.
Well,
I'm not going to be the Slumdog Millionaire. I'm not going to write it on the mirror or anything and like try to mislead you or something. And it's not so much that Rizwan knows sports, but he knows all about getting to third base. So nice work on getting that. For the kids joining us, that's wonderful. Okay, I just got kicked off the show. Finally. And by the way, Sheetal, I only learned how to wink when I was 30. I had been trying to flirt with women in my 20s, and I learned that I was blinking and not winking. So when I was seeing a woman at a bar, I'd be like, why aren't they talking to me? And a friend of mine was like, you're blinking, not winking.
That's cute.
Yeah, it wasn't cute at the time, but I'm glad you find it so. Finally, the last question is for you, Sarayu. Okay, now this question is about Reverend Warnock. We got to get him in here. He's a phenomenal man. All over Georgia, we can see Reverend Warnock in 2 ads featuring his puppy. I actually saw this on CNN, where he talks about the negative GOP ads while he is walking his puppy. Yeah. What breed is Reverend Warnock's puppy? Is it A, a German Shepherd, B, a Beagle, or C, a Golden Retriever?
I'm laughing so hard right now because you guys definitely gave me the easiest question. Like, you guys were like, well, I don't have high hopes for that girl, so let's go with what kind of dog does Reverend Warnock have? Okay, it is 100% the Beagle, and I am so grateful for this question. Thank you for your generosity.
Absolutely, and I'll thank Harini and Neha for helping to pull the questions together as well, and the entire team. But you are right. Final answer, B for Beagle. That is absolutely right. We went 3 for 3. I want to keep us on time here, but everybody, please, wherever you are, give a warm round of applause to Sheetal, to Rizwan, to Sarayu. That does conclude our game. Thank you for playing. I hope you learned some fun-ish facts about Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. Hope you have already voted early. And for those of you who have not, you have until December 31st, the end of the year. Let's do this.
Come through, Georgia.
Thank you. Bye.
That was so much fun. Thank you, Rajiv, for hosting such a Bollywood version of Hollywood Squares. I was taking copious notes about what third base was all about. Hi, everyone. My name is Varun Nakor. I'm president of the AAPI Victory Fund and executive director of AAPI Progressive Action. I want to thank our host today, South Asians for Biden. I always love it when you show up to a party that somebody else has organized and somehow you get a little credit for the affair. Thank you so much for all your stellar work, SAB and all the panelists today. I want to take a minute and talk to you about something that you might not know about in terms of the program that we're running in Georgia to turn out the vote, and also a little bit about how we can all make a difference, that extra difference. Nisha mentioned earlier when she was in 7th grade, and she was, I think, the only progressive in her class, and of course, very saddened to learn about the election in 2000. And I'm sure folks know today how many votes Joe Biden won in Georgia by, 12,000, right? But some of you may not recall how many votes Al Gore lost Florida by. and it's been a while. I was a young staffer on the Al Gore campaign back in the day. We lost by 537 votes. And so as we look for every last vote in Georgia, the vast majority of effort right now is being concentrated on the metro Atlanta area. And that's very logical. And we don't know how this election is going to turn out, but it's almost, you know, I can almost guarantee you that it's going to be very, very tight. It might be tighter than 12,000. It could be 537 votes in Georgia that at the end of the day, one candidate wins by or loses by. And so when we crafted our program, we were looking at the other groups that were working in Georgia several months ago, in fact, and it looked like a lot of the landscape in Metro Atlanta was being covered. And we said, well, where else can we find votes? So we looked for, we looked at the stats and the voter files and the data. And at the time, we found out there was 27,000 Asian American and Pacific Islander voters that were outside of Atlanta, the vast majority of those being South Asian. But our later analysis, just as a matter of 2 weeks ago, we found out that there's actually 55,000 Asian American and Pacific Islander voters outside of Metro Atlanta. They live in Macon, they live in Valdosta, they live in Brunswick, they live in Augusta. They are all over. My own story is such that I grew up in a small town in Hagerstown, Maryland. I was one of 1.5 Asians in my high school. There was 1.5 Asians in my high school. And while there wasn't a lot where in my high school, there was probably about 50 or 60 Indian families back, many years ago there. And so we know by our own personal experiences that we live everywhere. We are the taxi drivers. We are the 7-Eleven, workers. We are the doctors, the engineers, the lawyers. We are everything and everywhere. And so we need to uncover every last vote. I'm going to have my team throw into the chat our volunteer coordinator in Georgia right now, Jessica Bowling. And I want you to reach out to her if you yourself know people who could volunteer to knock on doors in rural Georgia. Certainly, if you are anywhere near those vicinities that I mentioned earlier, all those smaller towns in Georgia that have a lot of AAPIs, Asian Americans and South Asians as well, we need your volunteer base. And we have to, as I said, we have to uncover Asian Americans everywhere in the state. It's going to be a tight election. We are going to win this, and we are going to win it because we look for voters everywhere, and it's going to matter, and we really appreciate it. And thank you so much to South Asians for Biden for organizing tonight, and let's win this.
Greetings, my fellow Americans and Georgia voters. This is a crucial time for us to step up and vote for Ossoff and Warnock. We know what's been happening the last 4 years, not only in national politics, but in state politics as it relates to the Republican ticket. Let's join forces. Let's get our hands together. This is not about political ideology at this juncture. This is about human nature and human values. So let's join forces, support each other, and make sure Ossoff and Warnock win the ticket in this runoff. Appreciate y'all.
Hi, my name is Shruti, and I have lived in Georgia for most of my life. Unfortunately, that also means that I've watched Georgia stay the same for decades. Georgia is perpetually stuck in what we call America's stroke belt, which means that this state has higher rates of stroke than most other states in our nation, let alone the rates of childhood obesity, HIV, and maternal mortality that are so high here. Women are literally dying of childbirth in alarming rates in the state of Georgia. Moreover, our sea level is rising, and with global warming, Georgia will experience higher rates of heat stroke, coastal flooding, and eventually harm to our livestock as well. I get that change is scary, for me as well. But Georgia is so far behind in our commitment to a better life for our future. Therefore, I believe that voting for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock is our best chance at a better future. Thank you.
Voting for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock because our Senate control depends on it. And the fate of our country depends on us. Families who are suffering without healthcare during a deadly pandemic, they are depending on us. Small businesses that are barely staying afloat, they are depending on us. The fate of our planet, women's rights, basic human rights, the fates of so many are all depending on us, on our choice. First of all, our choice to show up and our choice to vote for what really matters to us. I want our senators to represent their constituents, to represent our voices. Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, they really only represent themselves. At the beginning of this pandemic, their first choices were to protect their own financial assets rather than to help enact policies that would help the people of Georgia. Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock will vote to help Georgians, and their voices in the Senate are essential to helping this nation. We worked really hard to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but our work is not done. We have a real shot of allowing our president-elect Joe Biden to enact policies that will truly help America. But this is only possible if Mitch McConnell is removed as Senate Majority Leader. Use your voice. Use your vote. It is the most valuable gift that you can give to this country right now.
Hi, my name is Sean. I want you to vote for Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff because I believe in facts and science. If they win, we take control of the Senate and we can make the choices that we need for our future. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Neha Dewan. I'm the National Director for South Asians for Biden. And thank you so much for joining us this evening for a fun-filled evening. And I just want to thank all of the panelists and also Jon Ossoff for joining us this evening. And one thing I will note is that, when Jon was speaking to us, I live in New York. I wish I was in Georgia because I really felt that he was speaking to me and that he cared about me, which was, very powerful, which is a lot more than you can say about a lot of our politicians these days. And I love the fact that we have now won the 2 Senate seats because of Rizwan's response. And I guess I should probably wink to get you guys to vote if you haven't already. We're only 4 days into early voting. So if all it takes is the winking to get you to the polls, then hey, we should all be winking. But truly, as was mentioned before, early voting is up until December 31st. General elections is January 5th. And you've heard tonight about what's at stake. But here is what you can do. And I'm going to be sharing some numbers for you. Who would have thought that after 28 years, Georgia would be going blue? And we did it with the victory of President-elect Joe Biden. But of course, now in order to advance his agenda, we need to also make sure that we have these 2 Senate seats. So South Asians for Biden has been hard at work. And as of today, I'm proud to report that we have sent out 35,000 postcards, 6,000 of which were just to 17-year-olds who will be turning 18 by election day, January 5th. We have made 17,000 calls to Georgia voters. We've had about 60 plus volunteers sign up just to go, canvassing in a very socially distant and responsible way. We have 4 weekly phone banks, which will be continuing on through Election Day. And we are also translating materials for the Ossoff campaign. And we have our own video and digital strategy engaging in the campaign with regard to video and digital strategy. Of course, we have this wonderful GOTV rally. We have another one that's going to be coming up on January 3rd, which will also be partnering with the AAPI Victory Fund with, and that's going to be a larger AAPI event. And then we've done one relational organizing event with about 40 plus Georgia voters. So how can you get involved and make sure that we win and get everybody to the polls? You can help us in our 4 weekly phone banks. You can also sign up to Canvas, AAPI voters in rural Georgia. And we have that little link over there, but you can also visit us at southasiansforbiden.org/volunteers. All this information is there. And lastly, if you are fluent in any of these South Asian languages, we absolutely need you. There are a bunch of groups who've asked, who've requested our help. So you can contribute in any way that you wish. And the last thing that I would ask for you is, please, if you are in Georgia, go out to vote. And make sure that you bring, you check in with at least 5 members of your family and friends, that they are also voting. And if you're not in Georgia, of course, you can help us in these